Hi, and welcome to this presentation on Appian's low-code automation capabilities. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive, or maybe I should say a deep trek into a jungle. And in this jungle you'll find not lions and tigers and bears. No, this is the jungle of your business. And you'll find things like mountains of emails masquerading as a workflow, or legacy systems that no one remembers how to talk to, or hundreds of IoT devices sending data all across your enterprise. And you can't just walk into a jungle like this unprepared. You have to have the right tool. So today, we'll be using Appian to help you escape this jungle. I'll show you how to outsmart the email lion using process automation and artificial intelligence, tame the legacy system tiger with humans and robots working seamlessly together, and escape the IoT bear using simple connectivity, data, and business rules. So let's start with the king of the jungle, your email. Now, you may be sitting in a meeting or sitting in a presentation having that anxiety build as your inbox fills behind you. It's natural because a lot of businesses actually run on email. It's digital, but it's not structured. We can do better. And if we imagine an invoice management process today, you might get an email. You'd have to take the invoice attachment out, look at the file, extract the information that you're interested in. Then you pivot over to another system, enter that same data into that system. Only now do you have the structured information that you need in order to actually have people get paid. It's scalable if you have only a few invoices every day, but it doesn't go up to hundreds or thousands or more. And it's very slow to get from the document to the data. The primary issue here is that you have a human-centric process. It's very error-prone, it's time-consuming, and it's highly manual. With Appian, we can automate this and make it even better. We can take that document and get to structured data faster, so the document to data time is reduced. Appian can receive your email. It can send out the attachments for extraction of structured data. If necessary, it can send the structure to a human to reconcile. And then we can store that data with Appian records and use it for actions. So let's see how that's done. Let's say we have this invoice from a vendor and we want to extract certain information from it. The first step in Appian is to look at the fields that you want to extract and build a custom data type that matches. So in this case, I've got 5 fields that I want to extract from an invoice. That includes the invoice number, the invoice date, who it's billed from, the balance that's due, and the due date. So I've got these 5 fields and I've added them to a custom data type called invoice. Now I build a process model, a very simple process model that simply receives that email with the attached invoice. I can send that invoice to be extracted, which will identify all the different fields, wait for the extraction to complete, then I can get the invoice results and map them to my data type. Now, initially that mapping may not be perfect, so I may need to send this to the reconciliation where a user can go through and add any fields or check any fields that may have been missed. So here we have a demo of how that works. I've got 4 invoices, and first we'll look at the first one, which is from my vendor that we just saw. You can see that some of the fields have been highlighted. This is one format of an invoice, but I've actually got another vendor that sends invoices as well, and they use a slightly different format. So we're actually going to walk through both of those cases. If I go back quickly to that first invoice, you'll see over on the left-hand side that I have the 5 fields that I'm targeting, and that invoice date has already been identified in the document and extracted out automatically. And you can see it highlighted in the document over on the right-hand side. But I need to get those other 4 fields as well. So I can simply click in the document to select invoice number and map it to the invoice number field that I've decided I want to extract. I can do the same thing for the from address, the build from field. And I can click into the balance due field. As you see, each one of those things is mapped automatically as we extract it from the document, including balance due here, and click on the field and click over on the field in the document. And I can do the same for due date. So now, using this reconciliation interface, I've quickly mapped the fields that I care about, and this invoice is done. When I click done, it'll store that data off and make it available for processing downstream. Now I have another invoice from that same vendor, and in this case, you'll see even with just that one reconciliation process that I went through, all 5 fields of this invoice are now automatically mapped. The system and Appian has learned what it needs to extract and how to extract it from that invoice document. So I have nothing to do there. I just hit done, and now that invoice is also available in a structured way for downstream processing. Now, if we go back to that invoice from the second vendor, you'll see that even here, the training that I did on the other invoice has already benefited us. I've got 4 out of 5 fields auto-mapped. But here they use the total is represented in a slightly different way, so I'm going to manually map that one to the balance due. Again, 1 field, and I'm done. I can submit this invoice, and it's ready for processing. One more invoice, again, from that second vendor, and again, with just a simple single retraining, it's now 100% auto-mapped. So again, nothing to do here, hit done, and we're ready to go on. All four of those invoices are now ready for further processing. So that went a little bit fast, and I want to make sure that we talk about a little bit what happened there. So I had my invoice, and when I created my data type, I said I want to be able to capture the balance due. Now, in the first invoice, you can see that it was labeled as amount due, so it didn't map automatically, but as soon as I trained it, it was able to recognize that invoice balance due is the same as that format's amount due. But when I saw the second format, it was represented in a slightly different way. It didn't use the amount due label, it used the total label. But really quickly, again, I was able to auto-map that total to balance due. And now with multi-key mappings, I'm able to recognize different formats of a single document and map all the same data fields to the same data type for processing. It really helps streamline the process of learning your document formats, even if you get, say, invoices from many vendors. Now, another thing that we can do is, now that we've trained it and we're seeing some automatic 100% extraction, we can decide, do we want to even do reconciliation? Do we want to have a user involved at all? You can easily add a gateway to this process to determine whether or not all the values were extracted and skip reconciliation if they were. So you can imagine that there are 2 flows. One where I receive the document and extract everything. Maybe I'm missing a value, and I need to go through and extract that one value. In another case, now that I've trained it, all the values are populated and I no longer need a human to be involved at all. So these 2 flows allow me to go either to a human when necessary or to get the value of straight through processing when I don't need it. Now that's great. We've talked about extracting data from invoices, but what if you have other types of documents as well? You may have invoices, product orders, business expenses, claims, all coming in through email, through other channels, and you want to process these all. In order to differentiate between them, the first thing you do is classify. So in a case of an invoice, you may go and attempt to classify it. If you've already trained your classification model, you have high confidence this is an invoice, which allows you to automatically map that to your extraction process. But you may also have product orders, and maybe your model hasn't been trained as much on product orders, so you're not as confident that that's what this document is. Again, here's where you can get a human involved to manually classify that. But when they manually classify it, we'll take that classification and retrain the model so that the next time it gets smarter. We can move on and do our auto extraction, but the next product order that comes through could be automatically processed. All of this classification and extraction is part of our intelligent document processing application. So it takes unstructured data as part of a document, maybe it's a PDF or a scanned document, runs it through automatic classification, optionally allows a user to correct or update the classification with retraining as part of that process. Having determined which type of document it is, you can now automatically extract the data that we saw earlier. Again, with a manual step if necessary, that leads to automatically improving the auto extraction over time. And at the end of this process, you end up with your structured data that you can use for downstream processing in other process models in Appian. Now, we have other AI services, even beyond documents, that are all offered through our Appian AI program, so you can get started for free. We have translation, natural language, vision, and cloud storage to help power all of those. We can look at an example of how to use this in order to streamline a customer support scenario. So again, here we have a process model that starts with sending an email. In this case, maybe it's a customer emailing your support team for product support or for an account issue. Now, first, if there's attachments, you might have to have a team of users that transcribe those attachments so that the support team can read them. If you're multilingual, you might need to have translation of the email coming in and then translation of the response going out, another team of people. And you may want to classify using a team of people to send it more efficiently within your organization. Now, what can we do to streamline this with AI and automation? Well, first, we can use that OCR to automatically transcribe documents. Second, we can use translation to automatically route the inbound and translate outbound messages back to your customers. And we can build classification models and apply sentiment analysis so that we can see what type of email is this? Is it a product issue? Is it a support case? Is it an account issue? And how upset is the customer? Maybe we need to escalate this and treat it differently because of the sentiment analysis. So in all of these things, we've taken what was 4 manual tasks and eliminated the need to have users be so involved, reduced it to 0 manual tasks. So don't fight your email line. Outsmart it by sending those emails to Appian. Save time and effort with structured automation and artificial intelligence. Now, let's talk about the tiger. The tiger represents your legacy systems. Imagine a global contractor. Now, they have to deal with a lot of requests like onboarding people, managing time and expense, or in the example we're going to talk about here, working on project staffing. How do you actually get projects rolling out in the field? You can imagine at a very high level, you have a process model like this, where a field manager can enter the request details requesting staff on their project. An admin in the back end might need to go in and add things like contractor availability, or make sure that the contractors are in good standing before proposing them for that project. That entire data package is then sent to the regional project management office for final review and approval. So if we drill in on what that admin is doing behind the scenes, they're actually going and logging into an application and in order to search for that contractor. And this is one of those legacy applications that's been around forever. It's not really a great application, but there's no funding and no desire to really improve it. It doesn't have any direct APIs, so we're limited in how we can actually call out to the system. That's why the admin has been doing this manually. And it's got a long maintenance backlog, which means we're not really likely to get any new updates, no new APIs being added anytime real soon. But we can use RPA still to automatically manage this and automate it using a robotic process. So in Appian RPA, you can build a robotic process that essentially mimics what the admin was doing. So that'd be steps like opening their browser, navigating to that contractor database website, logging into the website, searching for that contractor using any parameters sent in from the process model, and then scraping the results and returning them back to the process model so that it can be sent to the regional project management office. If we jump back quickly to the navigate the contractor database step, you can see that Appian has a whole list of modules in the workflow designer, some of which are related to working with browsers. And one of those is navigating to a URL. And at that point, I just put in the URL of the system that I want to go to. In this case, it's the contractor database website. So I build my robotic process using those low-code modules, and I can test them right here in the interface. And as I run through the testing, you can get very low-level granular input into what's going on with the robot, including what values were passed in this case, the start and end date of a project, and what skill set IDs were needed for the contractors that I'm looking for. As it runs further, you can see that it's actually going to the navigation that I asked it to go to. It's opening up that URL in the browser, and even captures screenshots so that you can see exactly what's happening if you need to go back and audit or troubleshoot later. So I've tested my robotic process, and now I want to integrate it into a larger Appian process model so that I can replace that admin step. So we've made that easy with a connected system for Appian RPA. You can create a new integration and point it to execute a robotic process. You can automatically see a list of all the robotic processes that you have access to. In this case, I can pick the verified contractor robotic process. It'll tell me all the inputs that process is expecting so that I can map them from static values or from rule inputs in order to integrate it into my larger process model. I can quickly test, see that it's successful. It's kicked off the robotic process model in Appian RPA. And now I can go and take my verification step that was done by an admin and automate that with my robotic process. So I've streamlined this. The project manager still submits their request in the same way. The final package that's reviewed uses all the same information, but we've eliminated the need for that admin to do the manual tasks, streamlining the entire process. Now, I did mention that this was a legacy system, so sometimes it's down. And when that site is down, the robot can't do its job. When that happens, it fires an exception. But because Appian is a full stack platform for automation, we can actually capture that exception and route it back to a human, maybe even that same admin that was doing his job before. But the benefit here is that most of the time we're getting straight through automation. Only when there's an exception do we need to involve a human. So you get the best of both worlds, speed and efficiency, but still with the ability and flexibility to involve humans when they're needed. And because Appian RPA also comes with our robotic workforce manager, you get pre-built exception management across all of your robots, along with pre-built reporting and pre-built governance. And don't forget that RWM is also available for our partners, Blue Prism and UiPath, to help manage robots in those platforms as well. So we've automated legacy systems and done exception handling with Appian. We've got humans and robots working together, each doing what they do best, all while saving time and money. So the legacy systems tiger has been tamed. That means there's one beast left, that IoT bear, who's running all these devices and sending data that you want to be able to use. You want to be able to capture and use it. Now, one good example of something like this that you guys might maybe be familiar with is Snapshot from Progressive. You may have seen these ads, right? There's a device, you can plug it into your car, it'll capture data as you drive, and then it will send that data back so that they can use it to run analysis and maybe get you a discount on your insurance. Now, that same concept can be applied to fleets of trucks, right? Where you may have devices in all of your vehicles out there tracking mileage, tracking driving statistics, tracking engine state, tracking GPS. How do we get all of that information from those devices back into a place that we can actually use it and act on it? Well, in Appian, you can build an IoT data pipeline. So you can take your devices out in the field that are sending information and capture that using a web API in Appian. From there, you can store it in a record. And of course, a record can be associated with other records. So you can build a network of all of the data that's associated with the information coming in from the field. With that data, you can then set up action. You can make that data actionable using related actions in Appian. So we can see a little bit more how that works here. Maybe you have a vehicle record, and that's where you want to have the initial mileage from your IoT device out in the field store the data to the vehicle record. So here might be your vehicle record dashboard for a truck, and you can see that we've got the current mileage actually automatically being updated in real time from your web API receiving information from the device in the truck. Now, your vehicle record might be associated with a maintenance record, so that you can do things like log maintenance work on a truck or upload an invoice. And that's, of course, also going to be shown right here on your record dashboard. And you can see, like, we may try to recommend some maintenance. We have the maintenance history. All that information is available right at your fingertips. And lastly, maybe you have a driver record. So you can have a vehicle, its driver. You can manage how many miles they've driven in that vehicle, as well as which vehicle they're assigned to. And again, that can be shown all in the same dashboard. So you bring in information from all over the place, both different data sources as well as real-time data from IoT devices, all together in a single dashboard. And because we have that information all together in one place in Appian, we can also use things like decision tables or rules to automate further, including things like maintenance schedules. So you may have a mileage and the chart of what kind of maintenance is required based on the type of truck or other attributes of your system. Because you have all this data together, you can make that choice. And you can go from a mileage status where you don't require maintenance to an oil change recommended or any other recommendations. You can imagine emailing a maintenance reminder to someone, or even assigning a task or integrating with your maintenance system. All those things are possible in Appian with all of the automation capabilities that we provide. So now across this single record dashboard, you have all sorts of information and action at your fingertips, including that information from the device in the truck. You've got business rules and logic being evaluated with decision tables. You've got data being pulled in from multiple sources, and it's all actionable. So you can make changes or updates or take recommendations as necessary. So we've built an IoT data pipeline that allows us to get the information from the wealth of devices that are out in your enterprise, bring it into Appian, store it, and make it actionable so that you can do things like schedule maintenance, assign drivers, and update vehicles. Now, one other quick example from inside Appian. If you're getting hungry, all of our engineers love some free food. So we have a thing called the free food button in our kitchens. When somebody puts out food that they want to give away, they can press the free food button and it'll send a signal to a web API in Appian. That web API kicks off a process model, just like it did in the fleet management case, which integrates with our internal chat, which tells everybody, hey, there's free food available somewhere. We go get it, right? So people go get it. They start getting really excited. They see what it is. They find out that there's even more food in other places too. Pretty soon, everybody's so excited and the food's gone. So just another example about how you can take something in the physical world with the Internet of Things and bring it into the digital world for people to be able to work with it. So that's two examples of how you can get value from IoT data using Appian. Now, it seems like just minutes ago we were there lost in the jungle with danger on all sides, but today I've shown you how you can use Appian to outsmart the email lion using process automation and AI, tame the legacy systems tiger with robots and humans working seamlessly together, and escape the IoT bear using simple connectivity, data, and business rules. Appian makes all of this possible. We bring together data, documents, and rules. We bring together humans, robots, and artificial intelligence. We make it easy for you to understand what's happening and to take action on it, which means you can get out of this jungle. And that's called low-code automation with Appian. So thank you guys for listening today. I've got a number of things you can do next. One, please sign up for a trial. This gives you access to all of the Appian RPA capabilities, as well as the AI and intelligent document processing. You can sign up for Appian AI for free for your own sites and get access to everything you need, again, including all the services for intelligent document processing. You can install the intelligent document processing application from community, or if you're getting a new cloud site, it's going to be pre-installed. We're running a ton of webinars, so you can get lots more information there on our intelligent document processing, RPA, other low-code automation capabilities, or other capabilities in Appian overall. And of course, I'm always available. You can email me at the address here. Get in touch. I'd love to hear what you're doing or ideas that you have. So thank you again for your time, and have a good day. Bye.